All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church, building community, inspiring growth, creating change. Here in the heart of Kansas City, we come together to create this hour of shared reflection so that we might be renewed in courage for these times and inspired to lives of greater dignity, higher purpose, deeper generosity, and more effective action. If you are new to Unitarian Universalism or to our congregation, we want to get to know you and share a part of your journey. If this place is already your spiritual home, welcome once more. We need one another, and it is good to be together again. Through the gifts of technology, we also gather virtually to celebrate community and connections as we lean into the values of justice, compassion, and reason. Welcome to all those who are joining us in this way today. Together, we learn the love that has the power to overcome both loneliness in the heart and oppression in the world. Welcome to our service this morning. May the words and music and images that we offer today nourish our best selves, calling forth abundant wisdom and love.
Arise, O souls, all arise.
Your bow tie man is back. Hi, I'm Richard Thompson, and I'm a member of All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church. It is my privilege to greet you on this cool Sunday morning that promises to warm up to something quite nice. I echo now the welcome statement in the video for both those here and those watching online. When we say welcome here at All Souls UU Church, we welcome you. You, with all the identities you hold, in your fullness as a person, are welcome here. We hope that you will bring your whole self to this time together. We welcome those who have long been a part of our community and those that are here for the first time. Please extend this welcome through the conversations with new faces after the service. It may be the beginning of a long, warm relationship.
Sing out in a joyful song,
Our opening words this morning are by Tim Haley. Amid all the noise in our lives, we take this moment to sit in silence, to give thanks for another day, to give thanks for all those in our lives who have brought us warmth and love, to give thanks for the gift of life. We know we are on our pilgrimage here, but a brief moment in time. Let us open ourselves here, now, to the process of becoming more whole, of living more fully, of giving and forgiving more freely, of understanding more completely the meaning of our lives here on this earth. And Ari is here to light the chalice? Yes, behind me. Wonderful.
Good morning. I'm Ari, and I light this chalice for justice, equity, and compassion in human relations.
Please stand as you are able and join in the affirmation of our covenant, and then remain standing after we join together in song. Together, we affirm, goodwill is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
I have a story for you this morning by Lynn Gardner. The tree stood in the middle of the village. Its trunk was so large that it took 6 people holding hands to reach around it. The roots were strong and wide, and its branches spread out over the village square, offering shelter from the rain or shade from the summer sun. Its fruit was juicy, sweet, and plentiful. The people of the village loved the tree. Children played beneath it and climbed its lowest branches. Young people knew that if you whispered your dreams to the tree, they were more likely to come true. People who proclaimed their love or friendship for one another beneath its branches found their relationships to be nourishing, and elders discovered that their sweetest memories could be counted on when they were near the great tree. The tree had been witness to so much, and when the breezes blew through the trees, one could hear echoes of generations, laughter, conversations, dreams, prayers, and songs. Animals loved the tree too. Rabbits lived in burrows under the roots, squirrels and monkeys lived in the branches, and bats and birds flew in to eat the abundant fruit. The tree seemed to buzz with life. One day, a traveling merchant arrived in the village. He rested in the shade and ate 2 pieces of delicious fruit. "This fruit is incredible," he said. "I would love to have some to sell in the next villages that I visit. Who owns this tree?" "No one owns this tree," replied a villager. "If anything, we belong to it." "Well then, if no one owns the tree, then no one will mind if I pick the fruit," said the merchant, and began to fill a basket. "I mind," said the villager, "and today I am the keeper of the tree." "What do you mean, keeper of the tree?" "We each take our turn being here with the tree. We could never own it. We are here as protectors, as sustainers." "That's ridiculous. This tree doesn't need you. You could just take what you need, take what you want. The tree will continue." But the villager couldn't be persuaded. "Sir, this tree isn't like that. We don't come here to take from it, even though we receive much. We are keepers of the tree because this is where we are nourished. This is where some of our most precious memories are, and where our people have dreamed. This is where we remember who we want to become." "Well," said the merchant, "you may think this tree is very special, but it still doesn't need you to sit with it. That is preposterous." "Ah," replied the villager, "the tree itself may not need me, but what of the others who come by? Just this morning I sat with a woman whose heart was heavy with worry. Had I not been here, she would have had to carry that weight alone. And this afternoon, a tired couple came by, and they rested with me. They said they had been looking for a place like this. And then an elder came by, and we watched the birds in the branches together. And now you are here. You were confused about what this tree is and how to be with it. Imagine if you had arrived and not found anyone here to talk with. You might have continued thinking that everything you do is all about you. Luckily for you, my friend, I am here to let you know that when you care for the tree of life, it becomes about so much more than just you." And the merchant sat for a while in the shade, thinking about these ideas that felt new and a little challenging. As the sun went down, he picked up his bag and headed out of town, whistling a song he hadn't thought of in years. On his way, he shared a smile with each person he met, his heart feeling strangely light and joyful. And the people of the village, they continued to sustain the tree of life, to care for one another and to share their gifts with grace and gratitude. May it be so for each of us. Thank you for joining me for this story, and now we will sing our children to their classes.
Good morning. I'm Andrea Johnson, and I am a board member. I'm also here as a member of the tech team. As we continue our focus on gratitude, I would like to share a few of the many things here at the church I am grateful for. I am grateful for the many different people actively participating in church life. I am grateful that they are willing to share their opinions and ideas with all of us. I am grateful for the diversity amongst them, which includes things like the way we are comfortable giving to support the church. There are people who like to use those pieces of paper, write on them, and hand them in. What are they called? Checks. There are people who like to use the green stuff that folds and put that in the basket. And more, there are people who, like me, prefer to give online because they don't carry paper payment options. But online giving works better for planned giving and not so much for first-time visitors. That time you find out there's a special offering that you want to support, or when the message really speaks to you and you want to do the electronic equivalent of throwing a 5 in the basket. I am grateful to the people in our church who have noticed others trying to figure out how to give when they don't carry cash or checks, and I am grateful that they have pushed for a solution. Today, I will be sharing a new method for giving. Don't worry, we will still take checks and cash, and you can still use online giving, but if you would like to give by text, you may now do that too. As the basket comes around today, if you are interested in giving by text, pull out one of the sheets of paper, open up the messaging app, and start to text the numbers on the top. If you would like to give $10 this morning, type 10 space donate and send, or 25 space donate to give $25. Well, you get the idea. The first time you do this, you will receive a text back with a link in it. You'll see an example up there. You're going to click that link, and you're going to fill out information about your credit card or your checking account or whatever. And then you're going to click continue to do that even if you're already in the system, and then you'll be asked for your credit card information. Just follow all the on-screen prompts. Got too excited about the tech there and started talking too fast, sorry. Then you will get a text message back thanking you for your donation. And you will also receive an email receipt because we are really grateful and we thank you twice. Now that step may have felt a bit complex, but your phone is now set up. So the next time you want to do this, you're going to open up your phone, go to the texting app, type in the number, or if you're like me, you saved it, type 5 space donate and send. In less than a minute, and I'm going to tell you when I get mine, you will get a thank you. I've already gotten it. The email is already there, and momentarily my credit card app just told me thank you. It's done. It's faster than waiting for the basket. So this sheet that you're going to get has only the keywords for Sunday morning collections on it, which is donate for the general budget, forum if you'd like to give to forum, and special when we have a special collections. It also has a website listed on it, allsouls.org/giving. It's the one we've always used. And you can go there to see all the other funds you can give to, like HOT, COA, all those letters that are spelled out on there so you know what they're for. So go ahead and look at the website or catch me in the lobby after service, and I can answer any questions or help you get set up. And with all of that geeky stuff, the invitation will now be given and gratefully received. And now, if you'll join me in reading the words on the screen to dedicate the offering. We dedicate our offerings and our actions to the mission at the heart of this congregation, to build a respectful, caring community, to inspire personal and spiritual growth, and to create change toward a just and compassionate society. Thank you.
Good morning. Our first reading today is called Gratitude Circle by UU minister and essayist Jane E. Mauldin. We've begun a new ritual around our dining table in which each member of the family takes a minute or two to name what he or she has been grateful for. No matter how yucky our day has been, we try to offer our gratitude in the spirit of kindness and real thankfulness. Often, the ritual's nicest effect is to calm the troops who may be feeling a bit rowdy or punchy. That's on a good evening. Other times, well, today, I said one evening, trying to model appropriate behavior, usually a ludicrous pursuit, I am thankful for the wonderful rain we had this afternoon, which watered all the trees and grass and flowers so they can grow. Today, said daughter one, I am grateful for the rain and the trees and the flowers, and I am grateful for mom and dad and sister and brother and dog. A not so subtle attempt at ingratiating herself, as her sly smile implied, but spoken with heartfelt emotion nonetheless. Today, said daughter two, I am grateful for mom and dad and brother and dog. A smirk. What? Dad and mom were stunned. What about your sister? Daughter number one immediately recognized the implications of daughter two's statement, which pointedly left her out. She burst into tears and ran from the table. We continue to work on gratitude circles at our house. Some of us find it hard to be thankful when we would rather be angry. Some of us, sometimes even I, who like to consider myself closer to perfect than many, would rather give my husband a swift verbal kick than words of appreciation. Yet, there is something sacred about our gratitude circles. Gratitude has a healing power at our table that is more tangible than forgiveness or even ice cream. We can't honestly nourish a grudge at the same time that we nourish gratitude. So, we try. Daughter one came back to the table, and we talked about forgiveness as well as gratitude. And we wondered aloud about pain and healing in words a child might be able to fathom. And we grown-ups gave a silent sigh of gratitude for yet one more chance to do our job again and go on.
The Place I Want to Get Back To by Mary Oliver. The place I want to get back to is where, in the pine woods, in the moments between the darkness and first light, 2 deer came walking down the hill. And when they saw me, they said to each other, "Okay, this one is okay. Let's see who she is and why she is sitting on the ground like that, so quiet, as if asleep or in a dream, but anyway, harmless." And so they came on their slender legs and gazed upon me, not unlike the way I go out to the dunes and look and look and look into the faces of the flowers. And then one of them leaned forward and nuzzled my hand. And what can my life bring to me that could exceed that brief moment? For 20 years, I have gone every day to the same woods, not waiting exactly, just lingering. Such gifts bestowed can't be repeated. If you want to talk to me about this, come to visit. I live in the house near the corner, which I have named Gratitude.
When psychologists and therapists and ministers talk about feelings or emotions, it all comes down to the basic 4: anger, fear, joy, and sadness. Or at least that's what I learned 18 years ago when I was a hospital chaplain intern for the first time. And apparently there now seem to be 5 basic emotions: anger, fear, joy, sadness, and disgust. At least that's what's in the 2015 Pixar film Inside Out, where the main characters are emotions inside of a preteen's head. If you haven't seen Inside Out, I highly, highly recommend it, and have tissues on hand. I'm right, have tissues on hand. The theory is that all complex emotions relate back to one of the 4 or 5 or possibly 6 or 8, depending on the source, basic feelings. Overwhelm is an aspect of fear. Loneliness is part of sadness. Jealousy is related to anger. Enthusiasm is joy. Gratitude is where exactly? As I've considered gratitude, it has seemed as though it has its own place on the emotion wheel. Gratitude is something I've felt and expressed in times of depression and anxiety. It's definitely not anger, and it doesn't quite fit as joyful for me. Gratitude is simple and profound at the same time. Think about what gratitude feels like for you. Remember a time you felt notably grateful, or think now about something for which you feel gratitude. Where does that gratitude sit in your body? What sensations does it cause? What other emotions does it remind you of? Despite my desire to set gratitude apart as its own unique emotion, the experts who make emotion wheels place it in the section connected to joy. And I guess that makes sense. Gratitude isn't fear or anger or sadness. It's not disgust. Some emotion wheels have peaceful as a core emotion, and I think it could fit there as well, next to love. But I'll accept it under joy. We often feel grateful when something pleases us. The feeling itself may not exactly elicit the euphoria of pure joy, but it does feel pleasant. Maybe a pleasantness that pulls at oneself, as though drawing the self forward into motion. Apparently, feeling gratitude contributes to overall happiness. Psychologists have done studies of gratitude that indicate that focusing on gratitude leads to a greater sense of well-being and optimism. This from simply writing about things from the week that made participants feel grateful. This focus on gratitude can help shape thought patterns toward the positive. It is about recognizing the good. And maybe gratitude takes another step beyond simply recognizing the goodness, because it requires that sense of thankfulness that isn't simply recognition. I can recognize that the sunshine is a good thing, sure, but extending myself in gratitude as I feel the warmth and light of the sun upon my face is something different. Like Mary Oliver's singular experience of having two deer approach her as she sat quietly in the woods. Gratitude. That's something more than recognition, a house called gratitude. It interests me that psychology has connected to gratitude as a helpful element of self-care, because that something more of gratitude feels deeply spiritual to me. It belongs to the realm of religion and of spiritual practice, but maybe I should not be surprised, because the secular has been claiming many pieces of spiritual and religious practice, such as yoga and meditation. It is a larger understanding that practices which allow us to reflect and consider meaning and be with ourselves and our bodies is good for us. And for millennia, those practices have belonged to religion. Gratitude's step beyond recognition is related to making deeper meaning. This good thing that affects my deeper self, and I am feeling that in a way that is meaningful. A few days ago, my spouse Neil and I had a conversation about times when we have felt deep gratitude. We found that the most striking experiences of gratitude recently have been when we were moving cross-country. 5 years ago, several of our friends came over to help us put things into boxes. They packed my kitchen while I was attending to packing upstairs. And the day the moving truck came, our friend Kate took all of the cleaning supplies and all of those other things that didn't fit into our cars to just deal with them when we couldn't. Kate probably just thought that she was being a good friend, but it was a huge relief to us that she could simply take care of so much for us. And we are still so grateful for her in that day. It's a memorable gratitude, indelible upon our hearts. What we needed in a moment of great upheaval. We can perceive that Kate provided exactly what we needed in that moment, a true blessing in a time of need and desperation. Gratitude connects us to blessings. That deeper consideration of what we cannot control that still provides goodness in our lives. Just as Mary Oliver could not cause the deer to approach her, and we cannot cause the sun to shine, and Neil and I could not expect Kate to be oh so helpful. We cannot cause blessings. We are grateful because of something outside of ourselves that we cannot control. Gratitude comes from appreciation of things we cannot control. when you think about it. You realize that nearly everything around us is outside of our own control. To be clear, recognizing this is practically painful for me, as I am known to prefer to have a sense of control most of the time. It's intimidating to consider just how little control I actually have. So if you're like me, this is definitely pushing at the boundaries of your comfort zone. But that's part of gratitude. We are utterly surrounded by things for which we might be grateful. And we are so wrapped up in trying to control things, so wrapped up in what's happening for us as individuals in day-to-day life, that we do not notice just how wonderful so many of the things are that are outside of our control. We might notice the people in our lives with greater clarity, to recognize that we are surrounded by good people doing their best to live out goodness in their actions. Those tiny efforts to make things go more easily, the greetings and the smiles, the willingness to agree to do something and then to actually do it. Every interaction with another, no matter how brief or inconsequential, is an opportunity for appreciation. There are gifts of each day that we might notice. The obvious gift of awakening from sleep. For some, the special gift of actually sleeping. For those of us with disabilities, there are good days and bad days, and we are aware of the gift of a day that comes with energy or a lack of pain. And there are the tiny joys, like that first sip of a favorite warm beverage, the sound of birdsong, the smell of early spring, the smile of a loved one, the feel of a furry friend's coat, so soft under your hand, and when the cat purrs. As I remember again the conversation with my spouse about our gratitudes, I noticed that we were looking for what felt like truly meaningful stories, those big things for which we feel gratitude, the ones that really stand out. And I've noticed that in myself as well. When I've tried keeping a gratitude journal, it felt like pressure to identify something truly profound, and I found it a difficult thing to do. But I've come to understand that the point of gratitude, the appreciation of things beyond our control, is to simply be aware of how wonderful so many things are. And so I want you to consider gratitude as a spiritual practice. A practice as something you do regularly and with intention. Spiritual because of gratitude's connection to that which is beyond us. There, in the space where we end and other people, the world, and the holy reside, is where we find our spiritual connections. And to be clear, I am mostly a humanist, and it is as a humanist that I suggest spirituality and the holy. We rest in a world that fills us with a very human wonder, along with the human act of recognizing something as sacred or holy. It is set apart as special and of tremendous meaning, and I will always leave room for something more, something beyond our perception, not something with a will to impose upon us, but that element of our existence that calls us to deeper meaning and the experience of awe. And this, to me, is a similar place to that of gratitude, an expression of awe and wonderment. There is goodness that comes from beyond me. It fills me with a feeling that seems to burst forth, a feeling that is ineffable beyond the single word, gratitude. As I have been considering that for which I am grateful, the blessings in my life that are beyond my control, I have found myself reflecting on the ways in which I am fortunate in society. I recognize that I am in a stable place financially, which is in large part due to the luck of my birth into a middle-class family, which held the expectation that I would attend college and paid for much of it. I was born white, which has made my life easier in many ways. And I'm cisgendered, which protects me from all of the laws being passed here in Missouri that limit the ability for my trans siblings to exist. These are forms of privilege that I just by chance happen to possess. Society has set itself up with some intention for my life to be easier because I possess these traits. I am grateful for these things that make my life easier. I give thanks that I have been blessed. And I feel uncomfortable about having privilege, because the definition of privilege indicates that it does not apply to everyone. I feel uncomfortable because if my being born white in America is a blessing, it seems to indicate that BIPOC people are not blessed, and that feels wrong. And every time I've tried to describe what gratitude feels like, I've talked about a feeling of being pulled forward. It is as though gratitude won't let me remain still. It has an inherent motion that is too easy to ignore. Because just as I'm not comfortable when I recognize the truth of the privilege that I hold, gratitude does not want to remain a nice, warm feeling. Gratitude itself is calling me to action, to help change society, to create beloved community where privilege no longer exists. Gratitude alone is not enough. It calls us to action. It calls us to action to dismantle white supremacy. Gratitude calls us to action to address financial disparities and access to resources. It calls us to action to support the trans folks around us. Our gratitude for the privileges that we have calls us to build the world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all that we aspire to in our Unitarian Universalist principles. So be grateful. Recognize all of these things in our lives that we cannot control that benefit us, that make our lives easier, that give us comfort. Experience that feeling of gratitude and maybe let it pull at you like it pulls at me to find whatever ways you can be part of the efforts to build beloved community. Feel gratitude. Notice it in you and nurture its presence. Let it become a spiritual practice that can nourish your soul. I am grateful for you this morning, and I hope you know that you are a blessing. May it be so. Please join in singing our next hymn, We Give Thanks. we release this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. You recognize all that you may be grateful for, each day, each week, each month. For you may be enriched to notice that all that is around you for which to be grateful, that calls you forward. Go in peace.